You're listening to UNITEDWESTRIKE.com radio. Don't buy, don't comply. That's why. UNITEDWESTRIKE.com radio.
Welcome back, everyone, to the UNITEDWESTRIKE.com radio marathon for January 15th. As you realize, we've been tackling some technical bugs. So while we're getting back on the air here, we apologize for any inconvenience to our audience. Sometimes these things are beyond our control, I guarantee you it. Looks like we have Karen back. Karen, how are you?
Confused.
So am I, because people around the world are reporting hearing different streams emanating from our site, and I don't know how that technically is possible, that I'm hearing one thing on this side of the continent, and in Europe they're hearing something else. I'm not sure how that works.
Well, I'm rebooting this other laptop right now to see if I can change it, but I kept hearing a loop of Bonnie and Cindy's show. And
I was getting that as well from time to time, and then it would change to something different, and it was kind of almost like it was on a rotate. But anyway, I'm going to get some confirmation. As soon as I get a confirmation that we're solid and we're broadcasting again, then I'm going to bring Rosalind back to the call.
Okay, I'm still hearing the archive.
Yeah, did you know what happened? Did you hit play archive, or it just started doing that on its own?
No, it did that on its own. Have you refreshed, Matt?
Well, I can try that. Let me do that.
That's very strange, isn't it?
It is very strange.
Right. Nope, the stream's back up. I can confirm the stream's back up and running. That's fine.
Okay.
All right.
I'm now going to bring Rosalind in now.
Okay. Now, are we live on air right now?
You are live on air right now.
Well, it's a Twilight Zone moment, folks, because Hal and Ellen were heard. Hi, Rosalind. You want to play?
Yeah, there's not much time, but sure.
Well, we're sorting it out now. We've had inexplicable things happening, including different members of us hearing totally different streams coming from the same website at the same time.
Oh.
So that's very strange.
That's very strange.
Something is happening, and I think that maybe we better let you start talking and see if you can help with Skywatch news, weather, and views, and maybe we can learn some more while we're still able to be on air.
Well, Karen, can we back up just to here? Rosalind, thanks for coming on and bearing with us this afternoon. Can you reintroduce yourself to our audience so we know who they know who we're listening to here?
Oh, sure, absolutely. I'll just start again, and then I'll talk for about the time that's left. Okay?
Great.
That's great.
And you can just cue me when I have about a minute.
Okay. All right, Rosalind.
Is that all right?
Sure. You got plenty of information. Thanks again for being with us, and it's all yours. Rosalind?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. This is Rosalind Peterson with Skywatch News, Weather, and Views. And I'm brought to you by UNITEDWESTRIKE.com radio. And without them, our voices wouldn't be as varied and the subject matter wouldn't be as interesting, because we're going to be discussing in the next few weeks and days different topics. And in these topics, I hope that you enjoy them. I hope that you find them interesting and educational as well. Part of what I'm going to do with Skywatch News, Weather, and Views is to go through a weather report during my program, which is new today. This is the first show. And then I'm going to go into Skywatch News, and then I'm going to go into some views, which are my opinions and not the opinion of the people that are bringing you this show necessarily. And so today, we've had some radio problems, and hopefully we will not be interrupted this time, and we can proceed with the beginning part of the show. And one of the things I want to bring you is I'm going to bring you the weather from Northern California where I live. And the weather report from here is never heard from your local radio station, your local TV station. No one is broadcasting the weather as it's seen outside in your neighborhood anymore. And so I'm going to bring you the Jet Contrail report today. And I can tell you that all day long in Northern California, we would have been clear with deep blue skies, with warm, mild weather today. But what impaired this from happening and kept it from being a reality is that we were inundated with persistent jet contrails. Persistent jet contrails going in the jets were flying in every direction. The trails were all over our skies today, and it turned our skies into man-made clouds, and it turned our skies into white haze, or almost a yellowish haze, that is persisting above us as we speak, so that we only have filtered sun today as our weather report. One of the things that everyone should know, whether you're in Northern California or across the United States, is that your weather is being modified by persistent jet contrails. They are exacerbating global warming. They're reducing the amount of sunlight reaching the earth. They're lowering crop production, because if you don't get direct sunlight reaching the earth, then your trees, plants, grasses, native vegetation won't grow as well, nor gain the strength from the sun to grow and thrive. So what we see across our skies is this filtered sun, which has mostly been our lot if it's not raining here in Northern California for almost the last 2.5 months. We don't see deep, clear blue skies all day, but rarely, maybe 1 or 2 days a month these days. And the rest of the time we are living with filtered sun. We're living with the consequences of having filtered sun here, which is lack of vitamin D in humans. We have a lack of photosynthesis. We have trees that are dying instead of thriving here. So there's a lot that's happening because the jets in our skies are leaving this man-made haze, man-made cloud cover above us, and it's having agricultural impacts. Now, my name is Rosalind Peterson, and I have 2 websites. One is CaliforniaSkywatch.com. The other is AgricultureDefenseCoalition.org. The 2 websites cover a variety of topics. They discuss jet contrails. They discuss geoengineering, which is coming to our future very soon, and in some ways is already here because we're experimenting with experimental weather modification programs across the United States. 66 just in the western states alone. 30 of these programs are in California. So as we modify the weather in one area, we're changing the climate for people in other areas that are along the jet stream. So when the jet stream crosses California and we modify the weather, it's going to change the weather in other places, sometimes enhancing it or having unintended consequences. In the state of California and other states across the United States and under federal law, anyone may modify your weather without your consent, without your permission or knowledge. There are no laws that require that agriculture producers have to be notified of weather modification and mitigation programs. There are no laws which state that the public needs to be notified. There are no laws which say that anyone is restricted from modifying your weather. So if you go to my website and you look under the section called Weather Modification, you will find a listing of a lot of these programs. You will find maps from various government agencies like the the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, you will find lots of information on weather modification. It is a reality in our lives, and many people don't realize that the weather that they may be experiencing is brought to you via some of these weather modification programs. So this year, where we have all these extremes of weather, different new types of terminology, unusual weather systems, some of them can be brought to you because we're modifying and mitigating weather across the United States and in many areas. So California, Nevada, Texas, Wyoming, Colorado, all these states are modifying the weather and more. And when you have anyone able to modify your weather, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, no matter what you're growing, it's going to have an impact. And most people, even ranchers and farmers, don't know that the weather is being modified in their area. So I encourage you all to go to the websites, look up weather modification programs, and learn what's happening in your neighborhood, in your area of the United States, and also know that any private individual, any weather modification company, any state, any city, any local government, the United States government, NASA, anyone can modify your weather, including the military, at this time, and they're not necessarily required to report it. I think that Texas requires some reporting, but in other areas there's no, like California, for example, there's no reporting requirement in California. So you can, as long as you have the money, any individual with the money can hire a weather modification company to modify your weather. Now, added to this, when we add the jets that crisscross our skies and form man-made clouds, and this is a NASA statement. You can go and to their reports. You can look up man-made clouds on the NASA website, and you can find that they talk about jets producing persistent contrails. They produce these man-made clouds, and that could negatively impact crop production, and there's some studies on this at different universities. And NASA goes on to state any increase in global cloud cover will contribute to long-term changes in the Earth's climate. Likewise, any changes in the Earth's climate may have effects on our natural resources and on crop production. So one of these areas that I find is that the weather reports that you see on the Weather Channel, on various news and television channels, when they report the weather, most of the time they don't report that there's any weather modification programs ongoing in your area, even if there are. They don't report the jet contrail report, which explains why your skies are clouded over in white haze. They don't report on man-made clouds. They lump the man-made clouds produced by the jets with normal clouds and normal weather fronts, which is not the case. We can have cloud cover in Northern California without having a low. The barometer pressure remains high. There are no clouds coming in over the Pacific Ocean that would normally blow in during a normal low pressure front coming through. The clouds can be formed directly over our head because the jets are producing them. So your weather is being modified without your consent or permission. The weather that you're experiencing can be brought on because someone's experimenting with your weather, not necessarily because it's a normal phenomenon for you. Now, there are normal weather events, but more and more we're finding that the weather events have become somewhat abnormal at times, and that the skies are not clearing in between. So the weather report here for Northern California today is hazy sun from persistent jet contrails and man-made clouds, and that we're not having direct sunlight here, which would help our native grasses to grow, which would help with crops and crop production here. We're not having this. We're having skies that are almost have milky type flat white clouds. We're having streaks in the sky from these persistent jet contrails and lots of white haze. Now, do you think that our local weather channel, or do you think that the normal stations that report the weather are going to give you this report? No, this is not what they're going to be telling you. They're telling you what they're told to tell you on their monitors, and very seldom do they go outside and look up and give you an actual forecast straight above where they're reporting from. It's highly unusual. So we want all of you to know that when the weather report is given, you can go outside and you may find something entirely different than is what is being reported on your local weather station. Now, I'd like to break for just a second here, and I'd like to say that this is Skywatch News, Weather, and Views. Rosalind Peterson, that's me, is your host. And I'd like to say that UNITEDWESTRIKE.com is the group responsible for this show and bringing it to you on your local radio stations. So I want to make sure that we support United We Strike in the future, because they're going to bring you more programming like this one and others, which are designed to educate you to things that are going to be happening in your future or current events and different issues. So 3 cheers for United We Strike. One of the things that I wanted to go into on Skywatch News that you may not know is that last December, just before Christmas, the Environmental Protection Agency announced new rules for CFLs and fluorescent light bulbs. And there is mercury in fluorescent light bulbs, and they require, according to the Environmental Protection Agency, special handling. The mercury in the bulbs should not be thrown into the normal waste stream. It has to go to a hazard site for disposal, a hazmat site for disposal, because if it breaks in a normal dumpster, in the normal waste stream, it will pollute your water and eventually get back into your drinking water. And mercury is not good for the public, and there's many laws trying to restrict people from eating fish with too much mercury. It's getting into everywhere these days. We see a lot of water tests with mercury in our water. So in order to prevent mercury from getting into our water supply, remember that mercury is a hazardous waste. Remember that you need to recycle new fluorescent light bulbs. You need to recycle the tubes and not break them. The second thing that you should know is if one of these fluorescent lights or tubes starts to have problems, it flickers or starts to go out, or a bulb breaks, the area that it breaks in can be considered a hazmat site. If you vacuum it up, these materials, your vacuum cleaner will also need disposal, because anything that touches this, once the bulb is broken, anything that this broken bulb touches, the mercury touches anything, then your carpet, everything, your carpet, your couches, the actual room that it happened in is hazardous, and you should turn off all central heating in that point. You should leave the room. The room should be ventilated. Anything used for cleanup should be disposed of in a hazmat site, not put into your washing machine for washing. So brooms, mops, anything used for the cleanup of mercury from a broken CFL or a fluorescent light bulb needs special handling and special conditions so that you don't expose your children, you don't expose your pets, you don't allow anyone to go back into the room until it's properly cleaned, and you should clean it as if it's a hazmat site, because it's highly toxic and very dangerous. And the vapor from a broken bulb is also dangerous to breathe as well. And the EPA is recommending that vacuums not be used for cleanup. They are recommending that not to put these bulbs in any places where children may break them, where children play, where there's any danger of putting them in a place where they may explode. And some older homes with older fixtures or track lighting should beware that fires can start, and these bulbs are not always safe into these sockets. So I thought I would bring you the news today that the EPA has put this information forward. It's on their website talking about how to dispose, the new disposal rules for disposing of fluorescent and CFLs, and this is on your website. So I'm bringing you this as news because most people do not know that these light bulbs have hazards and that they shouldn't be thrown away in the normal waste stream, that they need to be boxed up and taken to a hazmat site. So if you break one, beware really quickly that there are problems with these, and that in areas where children play and where they can be broken, you should probably go back and use the incandescent bulbs in those areas. It's not that I want to say that we should waste electricity, but your children's health and safety is paramount, and that they should be warned that if they break a bulb or anything happens, that they should leave the room if you're using CFLs and fluorescent light bulbs. With that, I'm going to again thank UNITEDWESTRIKE.com for giving me the privilege of being on a program with you today. I'd also like to say that they will need your support, and they will need in order to continue with this type of programming. And so I'm hoping that you will join them during the course of the next weeks, days, or months, and become part of the organization, because it's an important for all of us to hear alternative news and not just the news that you may or may not see on your local television station or on your cable television.
Thank you, Rosalind. Thank you so very much for your patience and for getting in here and for elaborating on things that I'm sure most parents don't know when they go out to buy green light bulbs, that they're bringing some toxic elements into their homes.
That's correct, and I'm really concerned about that because a lot of people with older homes especially don't know that you can't put those bulbs into track lighting. And if your fixtures are old and you're putting in these new types of bulbs, especially the ones from China which have no quality controls attached to them, that it could be very hazardous and fires could start very easily in certain types of track lighting. And the bulbs are not noted on the container telling you what you should or should not do with them. A lot of times the recycling is so small you can't read it, and a lot of times no one knows exactly what's going on with regard to disposal or what to do if they break.
That's just absolutely terrible, because the government and, global warming people are telling us to do this, and yet they're encouraging us to buy poisons, to bring them into our homes while they make money, and global warming is just a bunch of baloney. That's the hot air.
Well,
it's the global warming myth.
Well, here's the issue. The issue is that we shouldn't be getting rid of incandescents, which are being phased out under law in the United States, until we have a satisfactory light bulb that doesn't have mercury and doesn't have these problems with, in other words, breaking, that doesn't have problems in school when you have these big tube lightings, because they've got other problems as well, not only disposal, but if they burn out, the vapor can escape. So there's
Folks,
any
we're going to
number
have to
of
take
things.
a break here. Sorry, we're going to have to take a break.
UNITEDWESTRIKE.com. Join us January 15th as we debut our new station, January 15th. Hard-hitting information from hosts and guests from around the world. Switzerland, Ireland, the UK, France, Germany, Argentina, the U.S., and more. January 15th, UNITEDWESTRIKE.com. Don't buy, don't comply, ask why. UNITEDWESTRIKE.com, January 15th.
Hello. This is an invitation to everyone who hears this message. We are calling on people of the world, all the people of every nation, to stand with us and join us in massive, peaceful non-compliance April 15th, 16th, and 17th. That's Friday, April 15th, the Saturday and Sunday following. Our intention is a global, massive strike of peaceful non-compliance. Folks, if you are tired of being lied to, having your money stolen, losing your homes, watching your food be poisoned, looking at the geoengineering in the sky, wondering what those clouds really are that are dropping on us, if you're tired of looking at the Gulf of Mexico and the massive death and destruction there, if you're tired of being run by corporations, if you've had it with a system that has sold you out and made you a commodity on the debt owed by governments, if you're tired of watching bankers walk away with billion-dollar bonuses at our expense, if you feel that you have the right to life, liberty, property, freedom, and happiness, and that your children also have that right, and the right to think for themselves, and freedom of speech, then join us, folks. Our planet is being destroyed every day by military madness, and they've trained us to go to work and be taxed for it. We pay for the bombs. We pay for the depleted uranium. We pay for the Navy Air Force games bombing off of the oceans in the Pacific. We pay for the destruction, and they have kept it this way for generations. It is time for a new paradigm. War is not the answer. We have much more in common with each other than the bankers in the background. Follow the money. Do your own research. And understand that every day we go to work, as usual, we send a message of compliance. Silence is compliance, folks. The 15th of every month. Don't buy anything from corporations. Don't comply by keeping any more of your money in the system than you need for your monthly management and your bills. And ask why. Pick up that phone and call your misrepresentatives and tell them you support the people. You support United We Strike. They will be held accountable and help us grow for a massive strike of peaceful noncompliance all around